Hey,
Hey.
Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey.
It's hump day.
I was gonna say, wow, you had like a Peter Brady voice crack.
Yeah, hump day.
All right, there you go. Good morning, everybody. Hello to all of you. Welcome to my sinus infection. It sure sounds delicious.
I know I've had to listen to you.
I'm trying not to slobber on you, so stay away through the glass. Oh,
That's the nice thing. We're in like a fishbowl.
yes, it is nice.
You know, I walked in and set up the phone, but other than that, I don't have to be around you. Although sinus infection really isn't contagious, so.
I'm listening to you through your phone. It's weird. I can hear you talk.
Talk? You're probably hearing through the head. Are you hearing it through the headphones?
Well, I don't normally, but I hear it now. So maybe it's not going to be a big deal when we're on because I won't hear me.
Are you hearing you now?
I'm hearing you. Let me see.
Says I'm echoing.
Is he echoing? Isn't
You're
it weird?
echoing.
Something sounds weird.
Turn the ringer, just turn it down and see if that makes a difference. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
How's that? Let's see. Talk to me.
Hello, hello, hello.
That is better.
Okay.
Less of you is always better. Look at you, Steely. Are you what? You're doing a show today after the show.
Yeah, we're not really a show. It's
Yeah, you are. You're going to go through all the bells and whistles so Jason can figure out how to do what you do.
And you guys.
So we have a
tune
bullpen.
in. Right. So you guys that tune in that, you know, are friends with me on Facebook. We're going to do it on my page.
It's going to be a blast.
Right. I think it will be. I think it's something I've never seen anyone do before, of give the true behind the scenes of how a show's put together, what different music means to us.
It's dazzling. I'm going to tell you this.
It's really
It's
not.
riveting. No, it's interesting. It's kind of cool watching what other people do.
It says it's still echoing, so you want to turn it down a little more and see
Okay.
if that makes a difference.
Let's do that. How's that? Keep talking?
But no, if you tune into us, you'll get to see Jason, and I'm going to be explaining it like he is. He's going to get the explanation the same time you guys do. So if I'm out and Jason's out, one of you guys will have to run in and fill in.
That makes no sense. I have no idea what you just said.
They'll learn the same as him.
Oh, so if you guys decide to bail on
Jason,
me,
yes,
then we can have like a roll the dice on it.
If I'm echoing, it's just going to have to be. I don't know why it's doing it today.
I am looking for a good amateur photographer who can meet me on Saturday. I need a couple photos taken, and I can't take them myself. And as much as I'd like to talk to my children to have them do it, I'm pretty sure that the people who can't flush a toilet or pick up their socks aren't going to be taking a pretty picture. So if you happen to be an amateur photographer and you happen to have maybe an hour of time on Saturday, if the weather doesn't stink, email me at wendybellradio@gmail.com. Very cryptic, isn't it? Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is you don't want me to do it.
Well, I don't know. I figured Saturday's Saturday for you. Why would you want to do something on Saturday?
I'm actually not doing anything Saturday.
So you want to be my amateur photographer?
No.
Oh. Because I have a nice camera. I just need somebody who can meet me.
If you can't find somebody, I have a really good person.
Didn't I tell you that yesterday?
Nice.
She owns a production company. She had a film screened to Cannes.
Doesn't sound like she's qualified to take a picture of me.
She is. She's a cast director and acting teacher in Pittsburgh.
I'm not going to bother her. Hey, take a picture of me in front of a bridge.
No, she's one of the best photographers.
I hate taking pictures. I hate it. It's the worst. It's very unusual as a woman to have a picture taken of you that you're happy
You're
with.
usually taking the pictures.
Yes.
Unless you're with me.
Yes.
And usually I'm taking the pictures with you.
Yes, that's
and I'm
true.
taking one of both of you. And I'm not in it. Just kidding.
You've done that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, some new developments in the. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Martha says she can help. Thanks, Martha. I will tell you, if Brock is unavailable or terrible, which could very well be the case, I'm going to call you. See, it's a group effort. It's a
Ross might
mission.
as well- listen, guys, it doesn't really matter if it's only echoing. I don't have time to try to fix it.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, you are hearing Jason very. That's nice.
Yes.
Good.
I wonder if it's that mic. Is it on?
No.
Jason, did you get my email yesterday?
All right.
We'll look at these. Ugh. I wish I could put a vacuum up to my nose and just go.
There you go.
That's a good visual, isn't it? Yum.
So, Jason.
Let's have some fun.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Well, hello, America. I am so excited to be with you. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program. Thank you for choosing us. We realize that you've got lots of options out there in the world of fake news. We're not one of them. Your source of common sense conservatism. I'm working on some respiratory issues, so you might hear me do that a couple times, but we power through it because there is so much for us to talk about today. We got a full show. I've got a two-sided BS board. Well, it's actually split in half, but there's lots of information for you to source for yourself, for you to fact check, for you to chew on. But let's do what we do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. So, some developments in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. And if I could, just for a minute, go off the path here and tell Geraldo Rivera, you're awful, okay? You've always been awful, but I actually watched some of The Five, which I've never watched before on Fox. And if Geraldo Rivera called Kyle Rittenhouse the kid one more time, I was going to throw him down the steps. It's ridiculous. This is where we are in this country. And I think this trial is very interesting because it is the epitome of left versus right. And it shouldn't be. This should not be something that divides us even more. Alas, it sure will. So in your overnight developments, it's come to pass that apparently the prosecution withheld a higher quality video of the event in question showing Kyle Rittenhouse being attacked than it gave the defense access to. So for literally 20 hours of testimony, we heard the judge, we heard witnesses, we heard the prosecution, we heard the defense say it's really hard to see through that grainy video, hard to see what's really going on, hard to make, well, really, it wasn't that hard because the freaking prosecution had a much higher quality video of said scene that was a pivotal scene in the case and decided to withhold it from the defense until after the trial was over. Now, why would you do that? This is the piece of video that shows Kyle Rittenhouse with his hand on his gun. of course, everybody and his brother who wasn't there, who has no firsthand knowledge of what was really going on, does not know what Kyle Rittenhouse's frame of mind was, and decided to hyperspace into him and opine and use their own judgment, because that's what we do these days. This video, in higher clarity, in better resonance, in a clearer picture, would have created much less confusion. Alas, that is why it was hidden, likely from the defense. And so now Kyle Rittenhouse's attorney has said, you know what? This is a complete mistrial. This prosecution is beyond bumbling. And we've had enough of this charade. As I'm watching all of this unfold, this is like the machinations of government. It's completely bumbling. There's no rhyme or reason. The facts presented really aren't facts. They're selective tidbits meant to create you to make a decision, to move you in one way or another. Think about this. Think about the ultimatum world we live in today. And then juxtapose that from what a trial is supposed to be. There are certain parameters and things that must happen in a trial. There are facts. An individual is innocent, presumed so, until proven guilty. The onus is on the prosecution. And a good prosecutor with good facts, with good corroborating evidence, should be able to seal the deal in a case if, in fact, the person on trial is guilty of whatever they're accused of. In this ultimatum land, however, the facts aren't allowed to come out. You're not allowed to get all access to the data. It is selectively given to you so that you're forced down a certain path to conclude that exactly what the government, or in this case, the prosecution, is trying to present is the answer. That's not the world in which we live, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a world of options. We live in a world of debate, of collaboration, of fact searching. All of this to hone us into making the best decisions we possibly can. Think about this. This is one of the most egregious things that I've seen in a while, and I'm furious. A whistleblower has come forward with a document that proves Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States, didn't just mobilize the DOJ and the FBI to investigate parents who oppose certain radical ideas going on in their schools with their school boards. Not only does this document exist that shows he did that, he lied about it under oath in front of a House Judiciary Committee hearing last month. He Anthony Fauci'd. No, we did not support or pay for gain of function research. BS. You're not allowed in the United States, just because you're a leftist, to break the law, to lie to the American people, to withhold evidence, all to save your own skin. And yet this is the world in which we live. You must get that vaccine if you're a Border Patrol agent or you're a federal worker. But the people coming across our border in droves don't have to. That's kind of curious. You at your job, if you happen to work in a larger business, get it or lose your job. But there's no conversation about other therapeutics. There's no conversation about your beautiful natural immunity. It's one way. It's the ultimatum. You must do this. There's no conversation about the lack of evidence about children and masks, but children must wear masks. in the lion's share of schools in this country. Where's the debate? Where's the science? Where's the data? You don't get to ask that question. There's an ultimatum. Do or take your kid out of school. You're not allowed as a parent to go to your school board meeting and see what the hell is going on and ask relevant questions. Because if you do, according to the Attorney General of the United States, you are a domestic threat. And as such, the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigations has the right and is ordered to keep tabs on you, make a threat tab in its files so that the organization can closely monitor you and your moves, a la that disgusting parent dossier that school board president in Scottsdale, Arizona allegedly created. Kyle Rittenhouse is a microcosm of the bigger picture here in the United States. You have people, a la the prosecution, a la your government, who are lousy at their jobs, corrupt, with ulterior motives. And the end game is to persecute and demonize whomever they're against, Kyle Rittenhouse, parents, you who think freely, demonize so that they can control and deflect from their own lack of ability. We're going to walk you through this today. This information about Merrick Garland, I don't like saying bombshell. It is bombshell to lie under oath. How many more of these people are going to get away with this before they are held accountable? How long before Tony Fauci is put on trial for crimes against humanity? How long before Joe Biden and company are put on trial for election fraud? How long? And I get when people believe that justice doesn't exist. Well, we have to fight for it. It's not going to come easily because the people in power realize that you and your quest for honest answers, facts, and truth put them in the crosshairs of certain doom. I've got some interesting sound coming up on the program too. I think you're going to like it. Some audio sound bites that underscore the absolute abject malfeasance, purposeful, at our southern border. And this attack on parents continues, even though the Democratic Party says this is going to be the issue that they're going to own in the 2022 midterms. Good luck with that. Dr. Darren Dubiak in Advanced Integrative Medical 360 invites you to do something that your PCP and your insurance company won't. Your PCP will not prescribe you the in-depth blood panel prescription that Dr. Dubiak's office will. Your insurance company won't pay for it, which is why Dr. Dubiak is offering it to you at just $199. What do you get from Pittsburgh's #1 hormone weight loss center, which does business in 47 states, by the way? You get the answers to what's going on inside your body, hormones, biomarkers, your thyroid, your cholesterol, all of these things that manage your metabolism, that make you gain weight, not able to lose weight, and completely change how you feel inside. You get to take your life back simply by picking up the phone and making this call. 412-227-9255. Costs you nothing. 412-227-9255. Check them out. Transparency in everything they do at integrativemedical360.com. When we come back, I stumbled upon this and I remember hearing about it a couple months ago. Denzel Washington, who I will tell you is my favorite actor alongside Morgan Freeman, had a great comment that sliced through this garbage of what we're being presented, both on trial in the Kyle Rittenhouse case and in the court of public opinion in general. You're going to hear it coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Here, I figured it out, so they should have no echo.
What was the deal?
One button wasn't pushed on my computer.
There's a lot going on. There are a lot of bells and whistles and troubleshooting.
Well, it's hard to troubleshoot. Pay attention to the clock.
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's the start of the show.
Sure.
Like as soon as.
And fawn over me for being fabulous. I mean, really, I'm fabulous. I mean,
listen, to that party, and I'm okay with that.
Now there are a lot of moving parts.
And that's why you could hear Jason. For some reason, the mic was not muted on my computer. I don't know why, but.
Hi, Carol, Key West. Way to rub it in. The trolls are hungry today. Ooh, I like it.
And to
That's
Trevor, I
outstanding.
believe his name was, you're playing semantics. Kyle Rittenhouse, yeah, he's a murderer. He shot and killed 2 people. But let's not pretend that he wasn't defending himself. Yes, by definition, he did murder somebody. But the fact of the matter is he was put into a position where he had no other options. You need a WBR shirt that says I'm fabulous.
Ha. No, I
No,
don't.
she doesn't.
Considering it's just a huge joke.
All right.
And the rest of what we say, I think, is actually
Just
true.
a heads up, Ken, I'm going to delete your comment.
Aw.
Please don't use the F word.
Oh, yeah, come on. Come
And
on.
I'm not even trying to call you out. That's for
We
everybody.
don't do that.
Please
So.
don't use the F word. You want to, let's go Brandon, I'm okay with that. And hopefully you guys that tune in after the show for Jason's training, you can call in and you can talk to me. You can yell at me. Give me your opinion about Brandon. Because Jason has to learn how to use the phone system.
Oh, I'll call.
Talk about one call. He better come up with a different name. I'll just leave you on hold.
Fabulous. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And you can see right here.
Jamie says she'd wear I'm fabulous.
We need you just have to try harder not to suck tea. Bruce,
We have
get
it.
over to the store. It's there.
Wendy, you can show yours off.
Here we go.
I sure will. So there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there right now. It's always interesting when you watch what the media are covering. If CNN has 7 stories on the top part of their website, on the left-hand side, which is considered the prominent side, and all 7 are talking about Kamala Harris, bashing heads. They're butting heads in the White House. People don't like Kamala. Well, we could have told you that how long ago? I mean, there's a reason why nobody wanted her, because she sucks. She doesn't do anything. She's a race-baiting, misogynist-claiming placeholder. Look, I'm all for people of all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of different cultures to have opportunity. But if you want to be a preeminent member of the government, if you want to hold the ability, the privilege of decision-making and impacting a country, ought you not have some resume that involves more than sleeping your way to the top of the California, lawyers chain? This is where we are. This is why I had grave concerns about Barack Obama. 2 years in the Senate does not a president make. But if you're Black, people will say, this is the opportunity. We've got this opportunity to put somebody in. Look, I'm all for everybody having great opportunities, but shouldn't you be proven? What did he do before that? What did Kamala Harris ever do? And now there's some conversation. Pay attention, because the White House is trying to give her the back door, the squeeze play. And there's all sorts of commentary about that. There's a reason why 61% of voters in a recent poll, Rasmussen, I believe, 1,007 voters registered, 61% say they want somebody other than Biden to run in 2024, not just Harris. I mean, this is a literal train wreck. CNN, their ratings down 76%. MSNBC down 61% since January. Why? Well, Denzel Washington many months ago, in fact, I don't know the date, it was probably years ago, to be perfectly honest with you, when his movie Fences came out, which I did not see. What was it?
I think it's been years since
Yeah,
Fences came out.
probably Fences, years. Okay, whatever. This is what he had to say when on the red carpet, because there's nothing quite like talking to somebody in Hollywood about politics. A reporter asked him about some political issue he had claimed to have been a part of. Listen to him slicing through the garbage. It was beautiful then, it's beautiful now.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's the great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
Boom. Including BS. And it makes me wonder, I was reading an article yesterday doing some show prep, and the article quoted a tweet from somebody I'd not heard of. So I clicked on her name and it went to her Twitter page. This is a young woman, who just graduated from Georgetown in 2018, who works as some writer for some website, whatever. I'm like, it's interesting because the article was entirely biased. It was a leftist hit job on whatever the topic was. So I have to ask myself, yes, these people are being created in our colleges and universities to carry the torch of the progressive Marxist Communist Party, which is a branch of the Democratic Party. Yes? I ask myself sometimes, how many of them know that they are pawns in the greatest fraud? How many of them know? Or have they had too much Kool-Aid that they think that this is really what's going on? The Holy Trinity, as we call it. Interesting stuff. Maxine Waters, the gift who keeps on giving, she hits a couple of them. 2 of the 3. It'll make your face melt off. I love it. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Can I do Ireland Contracting real fast? I want to talk about my friends at Ireland Contracting, Gary and Diane. They are home exterior remodeling experts here in southwestern Pennsylvania, been in business for 30 years. They are an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred dealer, which probably doesn't mean anything to you or to me. But in the roofing business, it's a big deal because only the top 1% of roofers earn that distinction from Owens Corning. And Diane Ireland tells me that Owens Corning has this beautiful new roofing product color called bourbon, and it's really gorgeous. It's got some blues like the ocean and some caramels and some browns. It's really something. If you kind of geek out over home remodeling stuff, you'll love it. But they do roofing, siding, window soffit, fascia, you name it. Skylights, which I'm having put in. So get in touch with them. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com, A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, Guild Quality, and the Wendy Bell Radio program. You know, I would love to get behind somebody like Kamala Harris if she was actually worth anything. If she did anything, if she was productive, if she was valuable. You know, we loved, I loved Ben Carson. I think he was a really interesting individual in his position to be HUD secretary because of his growing up in housing like that. And obviously his experiences in life. You know, Kamala Harris, it would be wonderful to get behind a Black woman like Winsome Sears. Get behind somebody who actually stands for something, but she doesn't.
I think it's all about getting behind people that have values. She obviously lacks that. I saw a great tweet about her from Matt Walsh, saying, "Why is Kamala Harris?" And he had a soundbite of her on Twitter. "Why does Kamala Harris always look like that kid trying to get a word count to
in the book report?"
She's like, "So, and therefore, when we do," and I watched it and I just laughed. I'm like, yeah, he's absolutely right.
What's really interesting too is people who aren't.
Can I say another thing before we keep going? I think what it comes down to is the same thing it comes down to you and the radio show and with the discussions we had from the very beginning. Be authentic. People see through that crap and they hate it. And they hate it right away. That's
what I was just going to say to you. If you notice, and you'll notice people on television, they have the standing monitor, and then the anchor is standing there with their iPad or their papers. Watch their arm. Kamala does this. She flaps like a bird. It's a very interesting thing. People who are not, I find, authentic or comfortable doing what they're doing, there's this weird psychosomatic shake. You'll see her when she talks. It's very interesting.
I have a hard enough time with everything else. Keeping lies straight. I don't know how people do it.
It's like being a cheater.
How
do you do it?
I don't.
How do you do it?
I'm not smart enough to keep them all straight.
Well, I'm interested to see.
Yes, Sherry, I will wear a goatee.
What we're going to get back in terms of Kyle Rittenhouse.
I liked Ben Carson a lot more after we talked to him off the air. When we had the opportunity at the station where we pre-recorded.
He's a very slow, deliberate communicator.
Until you ask him about his mom.
Yeah.
You can hear when somebody talks glowingly of someone. Like Wendy speaks of me. You can hear their excitement.
It just oozes out of every pore, like the mucus in my head. Sorry.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You're lucky I have my hard candy exterior. Yeah, I think that's what we lack, the authenticity. And not just in politics. It's just everywhere. The fact that people don't feel they can be honest.
But you know what? This is how people are whittling down their
friendships.
Friends. This is a lot of true colors.
That's how many I have.
I don't even know if I would say that for me. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I don't know.
I know of 5.
I got some schmutz on my pants.
Again?
Yeah.
How about changing your pants?
I have multiple pairs of them.
And they all have a stain in the same spot.
No, this is different. Shut up. I hate you.
Hate is such a strong word.
That's used specifically and factually here.
Wow.
Sorry.
Fake news.
Real news. I saw some more interesting video outside the courtroom in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where people have gathered. It's sort of like they're waiting to see if the white smoke comes out at the Vatican. You know, do we have a new pope? Do we have a reason to set everything on fire and destroy the city yet again? This is where we are. Allegedly, there are 500 National Guards troops there. This should not be allowable in any regard. But if you watch the video, it looks like there are some planted feds there. Have you seen this? Man, can we get the FBI out of everything? They are everywhere. They were at the insurrection. They're at this trial. They're infiltrating things, trying to make it look like all hell's going to break loose. I think we need the FBI to be recalled. They're the worst. How many are there? 35,000 FBI agents doing what? Snooping on parents? Trying to stir up commotion? Presenting false FISA warrants? In what? Spying on President Trump? What do they do that is of any benefit that we hear about? I haven't heard of much. I trust none of these people. And the jig is up. The ship of fools is now halfway underwater. ABC poll, Biden approval hits low. Shocking. Dems, independents, sour on him. Like, I know right away that Republicans are going to be like, this guy's the pits. So even focusing on the Republican numbers is sort of useless because it's like, duh. This, however, is astonishing to me. Democrats and independents are becoming more and more disenchanted by President Joe Biden and his administration, as approval of the president reached a new low in the Washington Post ABC News poll. Strikingly, Biden is 12 points underwater on job approval. 53% disapprove, ladies and gentlemen. As I just told you, 61% in an even newer poll want him not to run for re-election. Somebody else, anybody else. And I think we should probably ask you guys, and we will at the end of the segment. I'm going to open up the phones because I got a couple questions. I'm interested in your perspective on it. Let's see. If the election was held today, 51% of registered voters prefer a GOP-held Congress compared to just 41% for a Democrat-held Congress, according to the poll. This is the big part, though. It's the largest lead Republican congressional candidates have held in the midterm election vote preferences of the poll in 40 years. 40 years. What do we know? I think something to the effect of 20 people in the House of Representatives aren't going to be running for re-election. We could flip more than 50 seats. Easy. And then at that point, you have to ask yourself, does the Democrat Party ever come back? Do you ever come back? That is why I said to you yesterday, and it sounds like a brazen statement, and it is. What happens, hopefully today, if the jury decides, has a verdict intact in the Kyle Rittenhouse case, if the verdict comes back and the answer triggers rioting and destruction of property and craziness that we've become accustomed to, it's game over for the Democratic Party. Game over. Because this is, in fact, what the media, I believe, want to have happen. The largest lead Republican congressional candidates have held in the midterm election vote preferences of the poll in 40 years, underscoring profound challenges for Democrats hoping to retain their slim majorities in Congress next year. Quote, while a year is a lifetime in politics, the Democrat Party's difficulties are deep. They include soaring economic discontent, a president who's fallen 12 percentage points underwater in job approval, and a broad sense that the party is out of touch with the concerns of most Americans. 62% of those in this poll said that. 6 in 10 said this party is out of touch with the rest of us. Biden's sinking approval ratings, along with the alarm bells ringing in the month's gubernatorial election in Virginia and New Jersey, are contributing to the red swing. Among 44% of U.S. adults strongly disapprove of the job Biden is doing, including 80% of Republicans, but 45% of independents. And so one would imagine that typically toxic personalities in the socialist, communist, Marxist, progressive wing of today's Democratic Party would see the writing on the wall. They would have some semblance of a conversation and say, you know what we're doing is not working. Because if you actually have that conversation, you have one of two courses of action. About face, make some fast, structural messaging changes, or just continue to go down with the ship. Try to pass as much garbage as you can. Just go for it and realize that your time is over. And for a lot of people in Congress who are over the age of 80, 70, people who've been there their entire working career, this is an easy escape. They go down with the ship. It's time to retire. Nancy Pelosi's looking for homes in Florida, where there's a governor that allows people to not be crushed by crippling taxes and have the freedom to make decisions based on what they want to do with their lives. That crazy American thing. But Maxine Waters, and you know what, California? I love California. I really do. But you guys are nuts. You're absolutely nuts. Those of you who are Republicans in California, that you haven't moved, literally, there is no hope for that state because they keep electing, if you can believe the elections, they keep electing this noxious individual in Maxine Waters. I want you to hear what she has to say as she embraces two parts of our holy trinity: Trump, racism, and insurrectionism.
So I would love to get your reaction to this notion, and it's not a far-fetched notion, that defying getting a congressional subpoena and then defying it will be a badge of honor for a lot of these Trumpers being hit with the subpoenas.
Well, it's not going to be a badge of honor when they find themselves in jail for having defied the order of the Select Committee to come in and to give testimony and to bring documents. And so if that's what they think, that they can defy the law and they can raise money and they're going to be all right, they got another thought coming. This is very serious.
This is very serious if you're a Republican. But if you're a Democrat, i.e. Eric Holder, Lois Lerner. We could go on and on. In fact, in the commercial break, maybe I'll create a fun little who's who list of people in government on the left who've decided to give the middle finger to congressional subpoenas. Here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we have an attorney general who fancies himself governor material, even though he himself has instructed 3 counties under subpoena to provide election information. He's instructed them not to. Interesting developments. I want you to also pay close attention to the MSNBC reporter. There's no objectivity here. There's no asking a series of questions. There's him interjecting his political biases, which is why MSNBC, with other race-baiting personalities on it, think Tiffany Cross, etc., why MSNBC is sinking along with the Democratic Party. Cut number 2.
This country perhaps never done to anyone what they have done to Steve Bannon, and they are looking to do it to others also. I mean, I'm sorry I had to read that statement, but,
Well,
you know, folks follow this lunatic. Your reaction to the former president?
The former president is the worst threat to our democracy that I have ever known, and perhaps anyone has ever known. Despite the fact that we're on different sides of the issues and the aisle, Democrats versus Republicans, vice versa, we've never seen anything like this. This man has no respect for this democracy.
Donald Trump has been out of office for 10 months. Why are they so obsessed? Obsessed. We could spend an entire hour talking about the affected commentary of this anchor, calling Steve Bannon a lunatic. You know, I don't think he was calling Trump a lunatic. I think he was calling Steve Bannon a lunatic.
Oh, I thought he was calling Trump a lunatic.
Play it again. Either way.
This country perhaps never done to anyone what they have done to Steve Bannon, and they are looking to do it to others also. I mean, I'm sorry I had to read that statement, but, well, you know, folks follow this lunatic. Your reaction to the former president?
About a tweet from Trump, or for not a tweet, but a message from Trump. Got it. Calling him a lunatic. Wow, that's outstanding. And let's go, Brandon, triggers you. Are you out of your mind? See, not only do we outfox you, we don't stoop to the same level, sir, whoever you are. I don't know who you are, and I don't care who you are. But there's a reason why Let's Go, Brandon is so legendary. Because it's not name calling, but it is very illustrative of a movement that's growing ever louder and bringing in more people from more fringe groups who are not down with what you're peddling. So according to Maxine Waters, 10 months after President Trump left office, he's still the greatest threat to our democracy. Do you know what the most wonderful way to handle people that you disagree with, Maxine, is? You ignore them. When you don't give them oxygen, they go crazy. Don't pay attention. I've had to teach this to my own children. Why would you respond to him picking on you or needling you or saying something that drives you bonkers? Because all he wants is your reaction. And when you ignore, it drives them crazy. They can't, because they have nothing else. Simkovic Concussion Institute here in Pittsburgh is a place where people travel from all over the country. In fact, people have flown here from out of the United States to meet with Dr. Charles Simkovic because they've tried everything. They've suffered a traumatic brain injury, a concussion, and the symptoms are terrible, and you feel like there's no hope. Well, not only does the Simkovic Concussion Institute provide that hope, it heals your brain. Dr. Simkovic has spent 20 years putting together the revolutionary machinations of his treatment. Non-surgical. Make an appointment. See if he can fix you too. 412-366-3700. SimkovicConcussionInstitute.com. All right, when we come back, I want to talk to you about some rumors about Kamala. Ooh, rumors. I mean, I wish I cared about her. I don't. But this could be very interesting if what we think is happening is going to happen. And we'll explain coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Richard checking in from Somerset, New Jersey.
Hi, Richard.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a Somerset, New Jersey. I got a fake ticket
What?
driving through Somerset.
That's a huge speed trap.
Yeah.
Huge.
And how am I supposed to? They're like, if you want a court date, this isn't a fine, but if you want a court date, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to tell if you're lying or not? Like, it's one of those, we take a picture.
Oh, yeah. Of your license plate or something?
Yeah.
Let's see.
It always goes back to, if that's the case, how can I go against my accuser in court, which is a camera? My accuser is a camera. How don't you sort of lose your right to confront your accuser in court? We got one there and we fought it and won. Okay, Laura. I guess I'm lazy. I wasn't driving an hour and a half to Somerset. You're never going to see these people in handcuffs, Jackie. This all stems back. To me, all not stems, but goes back to when Hillary Clinton in front of Congress said, "You all knew." And all those people sat there, and it kind of went away. Why do you think that is? Because they did all know. Democrats, Republicans.
They're all gross.
They're all guilty in some form or another.
And isn't that just an unacceptable shame?
It's okay. Here we go.
So some people who've been held on contempt of Congress for refusing to respond to a congressional subpoena. Some names from the past: Janet Reno, Harriet Myers, Joshua Bolden, Eric Holder, Lois Lerner, Brian Pagliano, Bill Barr, Wilbur Ross, Trump, of course, Chad Wolf, Steve Bannon. It's almost like the only people who don't realize that government is completely farcical is the people in the government. They're playing a game, and the rest of us are actually working. You know what I mean? It's this petty soap opera, and it's people cheating on each other, sleeping with other people. It's like Scandal. It's the ABC show Scandal. I loved Scandal with Kerry Washington. It was completely dark and sordid, and follow the storyline. A president who wasn't duly elected after they changed the voting machines comes into office. Right? How much of this, and then the machinations of who knows what, and the covering the trail, and the people who end up dead, and the bribes, and the hit squad, and the torture. Farcical? I highly doubt it. And Jeffrey Epstein did not kill himself, by the way, just so you know. I know you're shocked, Brock, but he didn't. You know, we kind of joke about that. We joke about things like, well, did the Clintons get by him? Where have the Clintons been? It's no funny. You have people like Hillary and Bill Clinton who were able to, before the 2016 election, create the Clinton Crime Family Foundation, which was funded to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars to effectively do what? This isn't like disaster relief aid. This is buying political favor with a person they presumed was going to win the election. And why did they presume that? Because what happened in 2020 was supposed to happen in 2016. And when it didn't, when things went sideways, right? They were mystified. He had to cheat. It had to be Russian collusion. Well, where's the media? Where are the Democrats? Where's Adam Schiff? Where's Chuck Schumer? Where are all these congressional lackeys who blamed President Trump, who accused him with crap information drummed up by FBI informants, FISA warrants, dossiers created and paid for by people connected to Hillary Clinton? Really? And Donald Trump was impeached over this. Donald Trump, who single-handedly turned our economy into something all of us today wish we had back, who brought back 60,000 manufacturers who had packed up and gone overseas, who was instrumental in reducing the corporate tax structure so that it was actually feasible financially for businesses to relocate here so products can be made in the USA. And what are we on the precipice of this administration trying to do? Pass the most outlandish spending measure, which will absolutely cripple small business. We will have the second highest corporate tax rate next to, I forget which country, the second highest. Who in their right mind would want to create anything in the United States? And anybody who says it's going to cost us zero is absolutely lying to you. Will there be repercussions for that lie? Is it okay for Joe Biden to repeatedly lie to the American people? And what are we hearing now? Rumor that Biden is, quote, considering moving Harris to the Supreme Court sweeps DC. What? So the only way to get rid of a black female vice president, you know, the first ever, oh, it was so championed, who everybody abhors, is to allow her to fail upwards and to try to yet again pack the Supreme Court. This is the Kyle Rittenhouse prosecution. So the facts don't play out for us. So we're going to fudge it. We're going to give you video that's grainy, that you can't see clearly through, all the while withholding information. We couldn't possibly get Kamala Harris on the Supreme Court normally. So we're going to change the rules. And we're going to make it happen. So she's out of here. So we have some vestige of a life preserver as the ship of fools goes down even more. I can't believe it. You know, we say it all the time, Brock and I'm like, it's unbelievable. Well, totally believable. This is the life in which we live. I've got the sound from Kamala Harris that suggests big changes are afoot. We'll talk about that coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. So I went home yesterday after the show and I was tired because of this stupid crud in my face. And I sat down with Murphy on a couch in front of the fireplace. And it was so nice. And I was thinking about this. When Joe and I bought our house 18 years ago, we had to have it all inspected. And I was glad we did, because apparently there was a crack in the liner of the chimney. And if we had decided to just fire up a big, beautiful, roaring, wood-burning fire, there's a good likelihood that that fire could have infiltrated the crack in the liner and started a house fire and burned our house down and damaged anything and killed us. You know, it's interesting when you need to find a specific craftsman who does niche work like that. Who do you call? Well, I have a new sponsor, and they're called Piccadilly Chimney. And Piccadilly Chimney was started 35 years ago by two brothers. And they've worked diligently. They're plumbers by trade. And they are super good at what they do. Not only do they inspect and clean everything for you, they look at the damper, the flue, the cap on top, all of the masonry. They make sure your chimney is safe, that it's clean, that the liner is intact, and they're able to give you affordable repairs at a reasonable time frame. They're honest people. They have great certified chimney sweeps as their team. And this is something that you need to think about doing, obviously, because the safety and the comfort of your family, specifically as the weather turns and the cold winter months roll in, this is of utmost importance to all of us. So don't just pick any sweep. Piccadilly. I love them. They serve, I think, 4 different counties. Let me see. I want to make sure. They serve Allegheny, Washington, and Beaver counties here in Pennsylvania. 412-221-0196. 412-221-0196. PiccadillyChimney.com. I think you'll like them. All right.
Where do you want to go next?
Well, I'm thinking I'm going to hop down to, I'm going to skip Ted Cruz until 10:30 maybe. We're getting some weird stuttering on the feed.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah, I know. It still makes me look fabulous.
Wow.
I'm going to step out so it doesn't make me sick.
Looks like we're good. And by anyone who tunes in and wants to call in later after this show, I'll dish the dirt on Wendy if you guys want it.
Wow, it's really dark and dirty. There's so many secrets.
Right.
Like, really, what do people not know?
Well, they don't know about when we moved your, the room where Murphy's crate is? That thing on the other side of the wall when we were cleaning your ducks?
Yes.
They don't know how dirty that actually was. It was dirty.
I wish I had a
See,
mint.
that's the dirt I was dishing.
Ah, that's so funny.
Paula wants you to bring on the dirt. What people consider dirt is, I don't think there's anything.
Why don't I have a mint? I should have something. Dang it.
I got some trail mix. I don't know how that's going to help. He's offering to make you tea.
Oh, I'm good. I'm sorry. I didn't hear you.
Yeah, after the show, we are training Jason. I am training Jason. So we're going to do a little mock show to get him prepared to fill in for me when I need a day off.
Why are people talking about Newsmax? I don't know. Somebody was like heading to Newsmax, and I was like, what? I've been on Newsmax.
They called you. You were talking about they called you yesterday.
Right. During the show.
Right.
And I'm like, ah!
That's what knocked us off yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Damn Newsmax.
No,
And then the executive producer was like, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. I wasn't even thinking about it.
no days off for me. I know. I haven't had a day off since September 7th.
I wonder if they try to get rid of Kamala and nobody wants Joe, who is the logical 1-2 ticket? That's what I'm going to ask. I'm going to open that up.
Whoever they put in as vice president is who they think can win in 2024.
No. I mean, Joe's going to limp through, I think, to the finish line. I don't think that his ego or Jill, his wife, will allow him to step down. She's digging it a little too much.
My shirt is from a brewery, and it says Steve. They bought old shirts. You see, it says educational bus on this side, and it's just an old shirt, and then it has the brewery name on the back from Trogs. It's a funny shirt, and it was the cheapest thing in the stores. All right, here we go. Wendy's favorite part of the show.
I do love You Just Have to Try Harder Not to Suck. I giggle every time I hear that. Very juvenile, but I love it.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Wow, an hour is already down on this busy broadcast Wednesday. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. We are your source for common sense conservatism, so welcome aboard. So I kind of ask myself from time to time, obviously the choice of Kamala Harris as a vice president was a token move. The woman offers nothing to the country. She's done nothing. And whether or not her hands are tied in order to do anything, she's just awful. I mean, you had to know as a Democratic Party that was absolutely awful. You had to know that there was no way a feeble old man who becomes more demented every day, and I take no joy, as I've told you 1,000 times, in saying that, there's no way that 81 million people voted for these klutzes. It's obvious, okay? We can see the real life episode of scandal playing out before our very eyes. So my question is this: who do they want to replace her? What do you do with Kamala Harris, who's has already said that if she is moved around, that the Biden administration is racist and misogynist? Look, lady, just because you're a woman and you're black doesn't mean you're good at what you do. And we need to stop giving people these forever crutches so that when they get called out for sucking, and she does, they can't go back to the crutch and say, you're racist. No, you're horrible. You're ineffective. You're not funny. We've had to buy ad time with paid child actors to make you look somewhat approachable, which you're not. You interrupted a NASA guy to talk about trees, racist trees. You're a blithering dolt. I'm sorry. So the story that rumor Biden is considering moving Harris to the Supreme Court, sweeping D.C., do we really want Kamala Harris to fail upwards to SCOTUS? Because let's make no mistake, an appointment, lifetime, to the United States Supreme Court is assuredly a step up from being vice president when you're disliked and there's not a chance in hell that you'll be elected. So did they just try to shuttle her aside, move her aside, open the door to somebody else? I want you to hear some of these cuts. Last night on Fox News, Jesse Waters is going to be breaking this story about these rumors. They're not rumors when CNN has 7 stories on their website, right? When we see video of Kamala being big-footed out of introducing the president as he signs his quote-unquote bipartisan infrastructure bill, come on. It's purposeful. We know it. I want you to hear cut number 1. This is what he's hearing. Go.
Fox News alert breaking in Washington tonight, where our Capitol Hill correspondent Chad Pergram tells us he's been hearing whispers suggesting there could be some new high-profile confirmation hearings on the horizon in the House of Representatives. Why is this a big deal? Because the House does not confirm normal nominees, but it does confirm vice presidential nominees.
Okay. Makes sense. Who are they going to put there? Who's even around that is interesting, that has any traction, that will appease the left-wing progressive Marxist socialist communist base of the party? Who is it? AOC? Elizabeth? Not a chance, Elizabeth Warren. She's been run out of town way too many times. Way too many times. And can we tell the Biden administration and whomever the wizards of genius are in the Democratic Party at the highest echelons of decision making, checking boxes doesn't work. Look, the person, as I've said, flying my plane has to be the best. I don't care that they're white. I don't care that they're male. I want them to be the best.
What about Hillary Clinton?
Isn't she 1,000 years old?
She's
We can't keep trotting out the same losers. She's a verifiable loser. And by the way, if she becomes vice president or anything of that nature, isn't she open then as a public figure to much investigation regarding 2016, regarding her server, regarding her emails, regarding the bleach bit, all of it? Because she skated by with that before. Would she then have to face that again?
Obviously, that I don't know, but her, Amy Klobuchar, people with name recognition.
Yeah, but the people with name recognition are terrible.
Well, tell me which Democrat's even worth voting for.
I don't disagree with
you. Is it Bernie?
Oh my God, he's 80. Go away.
I just want you to do your impersonation.
We need to spend more. Number 2, I want you to hear this. And by the way, when anybody tells you that the White House has leaked something, I mean, we all know what this is. It's called the wrap-up smear. We're going to create something that we need the media to pick up and run with, to print it so that we can then claim it from the media source and make it true. It's Nancy Pelosi's wrap-up smear. Cut number 2, go.
Does this have something to do with Kamala Harris? It's no secret she's been running out of favor with the Biden team. Over the weekend, someone at the White House leaked several stories criticizing Kamala for her constant gaffes and awkward laugh.
Please, there's no leak. It's not leaked. This is purposeful. Notice that they didn't leak it to the Wall Street Journal, right? It didn't hit the Washington Examiner. They didn't get that. I didn't read about it on OAN's website. Newsmax isn't really digging into this right now. Selective leaking. And number 3, this is the play. Kamala, she's got the cards. She's got the race card. She's got the chick card, both of which are gross to play when your gross incompetence forces you to play them.
The vice president's office responded to those leaks by leaking a story of its own, calling the Biden team racist.
Okay. We couldn't have seen this on the campaign trail when she was talking to Joe about busing. This was completely not seen.
She called him racist in a
Yes.
presidential debate, for God's sakes.
But I totally want that person to be my right-hand man.
What about Pete Buttigieg?
No,
He checks a box.
These are all losers. He's a loser.
They all are. Newsflash.
I know, but you can't have your typical loser. They're all losers. Pete Buttigieg with his chest feeding as the supply chain, right? I mean, you can't make it up if you were working for the Onion or the Babylon Bee or the Delaware Valley, whatever. All right, let's listen to number 4. This is great because we've mentioned this, and I'm not so sure we ever got to the video of Harris being big-footed out, purposely, of course, of introducing Joe Biden at the infrastructure bill signing. Go.
Chad Pergram joins me now. Chad, so what exactly are you hearing?
Good evening, Jesse. Well, there's a lot of conjecture right now about the future of Vice President Harris and her lagging poll numbers. This happened at the White House yesterday during the ceremony to sign the infrastructure bill.
Please welcome Heather Kurtenbach.
In a moment.
The faux pas was probably not intentional, but it underscored issues some have in the Biden administration with Harris.
This just in, Chad Pergram. Of course it was intentional. Duh. I mean, come on. So we're kicking around what comes next, all right? I think we only have, we have one more. We have one more big deep dive into what's going on with Kamala Harris and the White House and her future. Go.
So I got a message recently from someone who knows Capitol Hill very well, and they suggested I should familiarize myself with the process to confirm a vacancy for the vice president in the Senate and in the House.
Huh. Okay. So the wrap-up smear has now hit him. Okay, so let's say they are going to get rid of Harris. They should. She's awful, right? I mean, I'm all for anybody who's a minority succeeding, achieving. There are some really awesome, talented people out there, none of whom is named Kamala Harris. So who do you choose? If you don't have Harris, who do you bring in? Because truly, as I believe the next election will illustrate for the Republicans as well, it's the VP who's really the eyes to watch. So let's say Donald Trump decides to run again. Whomever he chooses as his vice president, knowing Trump could only serve one term, is obviously the person for whom you're voting. Who can they have? Who's out there? Beto O'Rourke, who wants to run and challenge the governor of Texas? He wants to run and be governor? He wants to take on Abbott? Are you kidding? So I'm interested. 833 WBR show. Who is going to be that vice presidential pick, if you will? And beyond that, if we're going to be honest that 61% right now of registered voters don't want Biden, who do you put there? Give us a call. We'll take your calls coming up. 833 WBR show. If you pay for your own, hold on, Brock, talk for a second.
People were saying Tulsi Gabbard. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard, they still have to be, to finish your point about VPs, they still have to be progressive. Mm-hmm. And she's not progressive enough.
I don't disagree with you. And I think Tulsi Gabbard has turned off a lot of people on the left because she's come out and said things that, of course, are factual and true. And I agree with you, probably.
And they don't deal in truth.
No, that's absolutely correct. All right, so I want to ask you this. If you pay for your own health insurance, maybe you're self-employed, a gig worker, or a small business owner trying to help your employees find affordable benefits, listen up. You can save from 25 to 50% or more on your monthly premiums and have benefits with first dollar protection on many common outpatient services. And this is thanks to Tom Yakupin at the newerahealthplans.com. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. NewEraHealthPlans.com. I want you to check them out. I want you to call Tom, 724-230-4500. Request a free quote. Tom Yakupin, NewEraHealthPlans.com. That dry cough is an absolute bear. I beg your pardon, you guys. Absolutely got choked there. That is the pits when it comes to talking for a living.
Wendy Bell Radio.
Ugh. Woof.
Were you from Garland?
I'm really interested in what people think. You know?
Wendy Bell Radio, your name?
I don't know who they could choose.
Tracy? Tracy, where you from?
Sorry, I just gagged all over you guys. Have you ever had that when you have that tickle, like dry hacking tickle cough, and you're like, Sorry about that.
What, hacking in my ear?
No, I knew I was going down with the ship on Tom Yakupin's read.
That's okay.
He's a great guy, you guys. I'm sorry I botched that.
If I have my hat, I just put it on and.
No, it's nice to know somebody like Tom exists for people who don't have all the answers. And when it comes to something as big as insurance, nobody does.
And you know what? It's more. What are the tricks? Because when you sign, when you sign up when you sign up for healthcare through your company, you're buying a box, right? So but when you're paying for it yourself, now you want to know, wait, how much is dental actually?
Yeah.
How much is this? How can I save?
He takes the time too to sit down with everybody and get a deep dive in what your health history is, what your needs are.
Yeah, he's a super guy too. He is a good drummer too. Wendy didn't come to the party, but
I'm sure I was eating bonbons sitting on the couch.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually what you do.
It's usually what I do.
Right. Stacey Abrams.
Oh God.
You're not thinking. Here's the problem.
No, you're right. You're right.
Taking a rational approach to an irrational situation.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
Were you and the majority of people were like Beto, which you need to get work on an impersonation of him. You have to talk real slow. And
I haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah, you need to get one of his. Susan Rice. Like, we all know these people are horrible for America, but the Democrats obviously don't care what's horrible for America. They thrive on it.
All right, so here's the question. Phones are hot. And the question is this. So if it's true that the White House is trying to 86 Kamala Harris, 1, where does she go? 2, who replaces her? And 3, nobody wants Biden. What do you do about that? Let's hit the phones. We got Tony in Delaware. Hi, Tony. Welcome to the Wendy Bell Radio program.
How you doing, Wendy?
Great.
I honestly think if the case is they're going to put her in the name her to be one of the Supreme Court justices or whatever it is, I think they'll end up trying to go with Michelle Obama.
Michelle. I'm not so sure she's very politically driven. I'm not sure about that. I know
popular.
Oh, I think she's quite popular. Yeah, and Tony, let me ask you this: what do you think they want to do with Biden's position?
I think eventually he's going to end up getting phased out. I mean, I think that's my opinion. I do think the other part too. If you went with Hillary Clinton, he would give her a pardon, throw her in the spot. I think she was promised something for all the dirt that she did back in the day.
I think
she was guaranteed that election pretty much. That's my opinion. She was promised that's owed to her in her eyes.
I agree. I think that's a shrewd assessment there, Tony. I appreciate the call. Is this Carlin? Carlin in Florida. Hi, welcome.
Well, I have a couple of things. My thing is, China's going to tell him who to pick. We know China controls him completely. And the other thing is, they have to look at who's going to beat DeSantis. Because no matter what, I have an awesome governor in the state of Florida. Even if Trump does one, DeSantis is next. That's why they're definitely afraid of him.
I don't disagree with you. I think that obviously he's the guy to beat. And I think that if we were to look at, and I don't know if it would happen, but if you looked at a Trump DeSantis ticket, I just think that you would lock up the next 12 years. And I think they know that, and that's why the guns are always out for Ron DeSantis. I think that's a smart move. I'm interested that we're hearing a lot of the familiar players, though, the Hillarys. I wonder if there's anybody fresh who doesn't stink on the horizon. I doubt it. Let's get out to Tracy in Arizona. Hi, Tracy. What do you think?
Good morning, Wendy. I hope you feel better. Get some Grand Marnier in you.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you.
I read something last night and had nightmares that they would replace her with Hillary. 25, Biden, she moves up, and Obama comes in as VP. Tell me it ain't so.
Yeah, we want more of that. Isn't that what we already seem to have? I mean, it seems like we're already there. So you said Kamala out, Hillary in, you said?
Yeah.
And then obviously the 25th Amendment, eliminate Biden, slide Hillary up, and then she brings in Barack Obama.
It's a really, really bad story problem.
Yeah, I don't like anything that you just said, but it's not personal.
No, I'm sorry. I just threw up in my mouth.
I love you very much. There you go. Tracy, appreciate you. All right, let's get out to Tony in Pittsburgh. Hey, Tony, what do you think? What are we going to do, or what are they going to do with this?
Mine's kind of tongue-in-cheek. I thought of Al Gore for vice president. And the funny thing is, climate change is a hot topic again. It'll probably always be a hot topic, when COVID cools off, if it ever does. But the funny thing is, I saw a meme on Facebook. You may have seen it. The meme says, when Al Gore was born, there were 30,000 glaciers in the world. And now there are still 30,000 glaciers in the world. And the funny part about it is they fact-checked me on it and said it was partly false information. And a friend of mine actually shared the same meme, and he did not get fact-checked. So I don't know what that means. But as far as president, I don't know what puppet or idiot they could put in there. Nobody comes to mind. So I just hope we don't have to go there ever. You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with you. Tony, love talking to you. Hey, Tim in Altoona, hang tight. I'm going to get you after the break. And 2 lines open, interested in your thought perspective here, or your perspective on this. So if the play is just shuffle Kamala out of the way, make room for her somewhere else where she doesn't have to, drive everybody bananas, who do you put in their place? And do you believe that the 25th Amendment then would be used on Biden, get him out because he's obviously infirm? Whomever is VP slides up, and then you can pick whomever you want. I don't know. It sounds dark and sordid and uncomfortable and very democratic. You're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. Call us 833-WBR show. Back right after this.
I don't know about the Hillary thing. I've always wondered about Gavin Newsom. If their whole thing was to maybe work Gavin Newsom into it. even after the recall, because he became untouchable after the recall. I don't know. Is there? This is the whole thing. We can talk about it, but is there really any Democrat out there right now that you could say, well, like he's sort of like middle of the road, moderate? What Lunchbox Joe said he was to get elected. I don't think Tulsi Gabbard's. I think Tulsi Gabbard's a libertarian, but because of the way the two-party system works, someone has to be. You have to almost be a Democrat or a Republican, and I don't think Barack Obama can be in the VP, because if something happened to the president, he's not able to serve. But I could be wrong. Hey, listen, I bite my tongue on Newsom. I'm not saying there's any Democrat that I trust. But like I said, I don't think she's a true Democrat, which means they would never take her. And, I don't know. I see a lot of people putting Candace Owens. I don't know why she would even want to. She's got a pretty good gig going, and I don't know. You're right. Yeah. Obama can't be. John Kerry? Hell no.
You know what's crazy to me, though, is Tulsi Gabbard literally destroyed.
Well, let's be. Kamala Harris is not the brightest bulb in the box. She didn't do anything in Congress. She didn't forward any bills. She did nothing. She only got one. She didn't even get what, Wendy? 1% in Iowa.
Well, in California, she got like 6.
Well, California, she just had everything handed to her. California is as corrupt as New York and Chicago, for God's sakes. So people were saying Liz Cheney. Kelly actually says Kelly is the guy you hear go 5, 4, 3.
So that's what he says?
Yeah, he just texted me. He says it's either Michelle Obama or Liz Cheney.
Well, Kamala Harris's signature piece of legislation that she helped to move had to do with lynching. And last time I checked, we haven't had legal lynching in her lifetime or mine. So, I get it. We shouldn't be lynching people at all. But
do we need a law for that?
But we're getting in, we're getting so lost in the weeds of things that are all emotion driven and not progress related.
All the things we try to legislate, do we really need it? You can't legislate stupid. If that was the case, Jason would be in jail. Ooh. What should I tell Wendy? I can't do it all day if I don't start in the morning.
Not talking to you.
Oh, you're not talking to me?
That was mean.
Oh, wow.
That was mean. Just saying.
I'm gonna start secretly recording our morning
conversations. I'll finish are you leaving everybody hanging or what?
Conversations.
Do you have a hard time? I'm the one who's going into brain fog, not you. So I'm not so sure what your excuse is here. Right? I think at the bottom, we're gonna do at the top, the bottom, we're gonna do the lib of the week. So after the next break, yes. Okay. See, remember in television, the top is the top. It's like 11 o'clock is the top. Yeah. It's not 10:50.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hold on.
I'm sorry that I'm chewing gum, but anything that keeps my throat wet.
What were you saying about the top of the hour?
In television, the top of the hour is 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
How's that different than radio?
Well, because you say at the top of the hour, meaning the last 10 minutes of the show.
No.
Yeah.
Top of the hour, I mean 11 o'clock. At 10, you mean the 10:50 break?
And
That's
in
just
that
the second segment.
second
But
segment.
top of the hour is 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, go changing the roles. There's your liberalism coming out again.
Mm-hmm.
Moving the goalpost.
Mm-hmm.
Liberal.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a slam, right?
Yeah, it's not like a slam, it's a slam.
If you really want to get on Wendy's bad side and go get kicked down the steps from HR or a liberal.
No, I'm liberal. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. We're kind of kicking around some ideas here. I don't disagree with the notion that Kamala Harris and everything we're hearing about her is unflattering, and it's meant to be so. You have to wonder if the Democrat Party was devious enough to make this a ticket so that she could be the weak placeholder, that they could move around, that Biden, who they know is a malleable puppet, could be 25th Amendment, be pulled out, 86 him. And then if things aren't really going well and you're tossing the noodles at the wall and nothing's sticking, you create your own next wave of leadership. Look, anybody who thinks that the Democratic Party is not purposeful is kidding themselves. So we want to know what you think is the plan. And I think Tim in Altoona has an idea. Hi, Tim, and thank you for your patience in holding.
Sure. Good morning. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay. Try to get Stephen Breyer to retire on the Supreme Court. Move Harris to the Supreme Court because you wouldn't want to waste such a legal scholarly mind with that. And then put Nancy Pelosi in as vice president.
Oh my God!
Because she graduated with Moses, if I'm not mistaken. So she doesn't have many years left, and if she's going to be president, this would be the only way that she'll ever do that because there's no way she could ever be elected. So that's what I'm thinking.
I'm loving this. I think you're outstanding. I don't think you have to turn to Stephen Breyer. I think, sadly, one of my favorite of all times, next to Scalia, Clarence Thomas. I think Clarence Thomas is going to throw in the towel here in the next couple of years. He's got health issues.
He won't do it while there's a Democrat in office.
He's got health issues, so we'll see. I don't know.
Can I bring up a name?
I don't know, but I could see that happening.
Gavin Newsom.
Oh, my heavens. Gavin Newsom as vice president failed from one state to the country. Now, that's interesting. Gavin Newsom. Ugh. This just makes me, I'm glad I'm drinking a fizzy carbonated drink because I've got a sour stomach right now. Let's get out to Kathy in Gettysburg. Hey, Kath, what do you think? Hello, Kathy. Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Kathy. Go ahead.
Hi. I was thinking maybe Tom Wolf. Since Levine already failed up, why wouldn't he?
Now, that wasn't fair. I was taking a sip of a beverage and I almost spit it all over Brock's phone. Can you imagine the worst? You know what? Then we might as well just throw in Andrew Cuomo. Why don't we just, if we're going to do like Family Feud on who's the worst, I could see that. He's terrible. Can you imagine listening to that man talk with any regularity? I'd want to kill myself.
Well, I think, he already did everything that he was asked by that administration already. Why wouldn't he?
This is a very valid point, which then, thank you very much for the call, Kathy, which then brings us to Gretchen Whitmer. She was a dutiful clone trooper. She did what was asked of her, right? I don't know. I could see it. I could definitely see it. And the jig is up. Things are happening for sure. But I hadn't thought about that. Gavin Newsom. And then you could use the 25th Amendment. There'd obviously be Joe Biden will be exonerated for all of his Biden crime family shenanigans. The laptop will never surface. The laptop is a bargaining chip. That if Joe ever wants to step out of line, they're going to blow the lid off that. Period. How about Brandy in Pennsylvania? Hi, Brandy.
Hi.
What do you
I was
think?
calling in. I'm wondering if it could be Maxine Walters.
Maxine Waters. You know, she's another 80-year-old.
Right.
I'd rather have Barbara Walters.
Yeah. Is she dead?
Yeah, I'm not saying that I want her in there. I'm just wondering that would be something that they would have up their sleeve.
I don't disagree with you. You're right about that. Well, and then you have to look at other particularly race baiting elements of the Democratic Party. Cory Booker. You know, then there are plenty of people that you could stick in there who have zero credibility or ability, like Kamala Harris.
You almost have to find like a milquetoast kind of person because they're not going to cause too much. Like you put an AOC in there, there's too many people that don't like her. She's too polarizing, and I don't think she would ever win. I don't think she is old enough, but
I've got it. It's got to be Ilhan Omar, the American-hating Somalian.
She's
yes,
not a citizen.
Yeah,
she's not naturalized, natural-born citizen.
So gross. It brings me to this, and you know, I don't know if you guys caught any of this, Ted Cruz. So yesterday, I want to get to the right page of my notes so I can make sure we go through this the right fashion. So yesterday, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, again, a vacuous zero of a cabinet official. Literally, listening to this man talk is tragic. He's on basically, not the stand, but he's being questioned in a Senate hearing, talking about immigration, talking about the failures of Biden's immigration policy, because there really isn't any immigration policy. And now I have the BS board, and I'm going to roll it out for you after this first clip, because I think this clip underscores beautifully what all of us feel in our hearts about what's going on at the southern border. Go.
Senator Cruz.
Secretary Mayorkas, you testified several times that our immigration system is, quote, fundamentally broken. True or false, under President Trump, we saw the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years.
I don't know if it's within 45 years, but we certainly saw in 2020 a low level of illegal immigration. 2019
okay. True or false, Secretary Mayorkas? This year, under Joe Biden, we've seen the highest rate of illegal immigration in 61 years.
Again, I don't know the number of years, but it's certainly a historic high, Senator.
Well, in fact, yes. And we don't want to get lost in the nuance of the weeds here, but we do need to bring out the BS board to illustrate this.
Time to cut the crap, because Wendy's breaking out the Ireland contracting BS board.
You know, and I don't like to be one of these thinkers who looks at government data, i.e. the CDC, the FDA, right? The NIH, or Customs and Border Patrol, cbp.gov, and believe that there are people in our government who would like to fudge the numbers to prove their point or to hide their malfeasance. But we all know that that's exactly what people do. I hope we can believe this data. You can fact check me yourself, cbp.gov. U.S. southern border encounters. Now, we did a comparison of February through October of 2020, not January through December, because January, Biden wasn't president for the whole time in 2021, so that's not a fair comparison. And we don't yet have data for November and obviously not December. So we can look at, side by side, February through October and compare Border Patrol encounters at the southern border under Trump versus Biden year to year. It's unbelievable. And I'm going to read you the month, and I'm going to read you Trump versus Biden, okay? February of 20, 37,000 under Trump, This February under Biden, 101,000 people crossed over. March of last year, 34,000. March of this year, 173,000. Ladies and gentlemen, that's 400% more. April of last year, 17,000. This year, April, 179,000. An 1,100% increase. May, 23,000 under Trump, 181,000 under Biden. June, 33 versus 189. July, 41, 5 times more under Biden. 214,000 in July came across. August, 50,000 under Trump, 400% more. 210,000 under Biden. 58 in September of 20, 192 under Biden, and then 72,000 in October under Trump. 164,000 last month under Biden. 365,000 people were encountered at the southern border by Customs and Border Patrol officials in those 9 months under Donald Trump. 365,000. Under Joe Biden, those same 9 months, 1 year later, 1.6 million. Again, you hear the number 1.7 million because I'm not counting January and I'm not counting where we are so far this month. That means in 9 months, illegal encounters that these 17,000 Southern Border Patrol agents, by the way, who have to get a jab when the migrants don't, those encounters are up 430%. It's a very matter-of-fact thing to look at this. It's another thing to hear the Department of Homeland Security Secretary not be able to explain anything that's going on. And he's going to get lost in the nuance of words rather than explain exactly how do you defend this? How do you say that opening the southern border and allowing 1.6 million people across in 9 months and then shuttling them without making them prove they're COVID negative or making them take a COVID jab? How does that make any sense? Cut number 2, because he's just getting started, Cruz is. Has anybody actually been to the border? Do any of you actually give a rat's rear end about what the heck is going on? Cut number 2.
In the past year, has Joe Biden been down to see firsthand the Biden cages?
Senator, I will again.
Has Joe Biden been down to see this facility? Yes or no?
The president has not been down to the...
Okay, no. Has Kamala Harris been down to see the Biden cages, this facility? Yes or no?
The vice president was at the border.
Has she been down to see this facility? I know she went to El Paso. Has she seen the Biden cages?
She has not been down.
Okay. Has any Democratic senator on this committee been down to see the Biden cages?
I will once again disagree with your use of terminology.
These facilities, has any Democratic member of this committee given a damn enough to see the children being locked up by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because of your failed immigration policies?
So remember, kids in cages. That was Donald Trump. Kids in cages, which actually started with Barack Obama. Then remember, there were 545 kids who they couldn't find their parents. Ladies and gentlemen, there are tens of thousands of people in this country. We have no idea where they are, let alone where their parents are. And Donald Trump was browbeaten for a year over 545 kids. Do you know, here's the thing. This isn't a problem when you build the wall, when you can't get across, when you stop pretending that this is somehow more humane than the despicable policies of Donald Trump called Remain in Mexico. You know what? It dissuades people from making a dangerous 1,000-mile journey by themselves under the age of 10 if they realize they ain't getting in. And they're going to get stuck in Mexico where they don't want to be. There's a simple solution, Secretary Mayorkas. There's a reason we're paying $5 million a day to contractors at the southern border to not build the wall. Because as long as the door is open and the welcome mat's out, the Democratic Party has what they believe their new batch of loyal voters. I remember watching my mom hanging from a contraption in the doorway of her closet. And it was like a zero gravity thing for her back. It was supposed to let the pressure off of her back because she had bulging and herniated discs. She was in so much pain. And I watched her there hang, just trying to get any kind of relief, because back then there was no Dr. Richard Rafferty. There was no Disc Institute of Pittsburgh. There was no non-surgical treatment called intradisc neutrosis, but there is now. And it's 98% successful. And there's a reason people come in from all over the country to sit down with Doc Rafferty, because he helps your discs heal. If you've been told surgery is the only option, or epidurals to ease the pain, fix the problem. Find out if you're a candidate. Call 412-906-9600, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. Tell them the Wendy Bell Radio Show sent you. Yeah, but see, Cruz, he's going to go nuclear here next. He's not done with Mayorkas. He's not done with the lack of answers. He's not done with Mayorkas getting into the weeds of semantics. Don't miss it. It's coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Battle.
Thank you. Let's do Lib of the Week after, in the last segment of the show. I'm going to change it. Okay. If that's okay.
I don't care. You're not going to show anybody what you got today?
Oh. Well.
No. Saki does it.
I love this. These are nice. These are nice.
Created for a special person.
Yes.
Not you.
I know. Then this is Joe's. I think this is really beautiful.
No, that's yours.
No. You kidding me? Oh, it is mine. I thought it was an extra large. I'm sorry.
They run big.
Why don't you hold it up a little higher so nobody can see it?
I'm sorry. I love it. They're so soft.
Yeah, the quality's great.
They're super soft and snuggly. What we would call woozy at my house. Woozy. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Woozy. Snuggly and woozy.
They have a bunch of stupid words.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
You ought to hear the underwear word.
Is that a Missouri thing?
Mm-mm.
No. You ought to hear the underwear word.
What?
Don't say it.
Utrow?
No.
What?
You guys, your word for underwear.
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
Do you want to mouth it to me? Oh.
Oh, so Brock was right.
It's not really that big of a deal. It's unnies with no D. Unnies. That's what Bobby used to call them because he couldn't pronounce it. Great time to talk about the holidays. Gearing up, a great place to have a party, to have a corporate retreat, to celebrate with friends, to go shoot people. Yes, it's called the Battlegrounds, which now also has a great remote-controlled vehicle segment inside called Show Me Your Hobbies. The hobby shop is loaded with the latest RC cars, trucks, boats, crawlers, and more. You can get a gift card. You can go play by yourself if you want. And if you want more excitement, yes, the Battlegrounds will host your party. They've got extended holiday hours for open play sessions too, but you got to register on their website. Remember, this is the area in southwestern Pennsylvania, largest indoor airsoft and Nerf gun battlefield around. It is amazing. You're going to love them. You got to register on their website at thebattlegroundspa.com or give them a call, 412-530-2192. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And remember, don't just play the game. Be the game at the Battlegrounds. You know, I struggle to think about anything that this administration has done that hasn't blown up in their face, that hasn't been an abject failure, that hasn't been a cataclysmic catastrophe, and that isn't costing you and me through the nose. Because all these migrants walking across the border, you and I pay for. Sort of like, it's going to cost us zero. In fact, Moody's says this is going to reduce the deficit. These people are professional liars because they've never had to work a real job in their lives. And Alejandro Mayorkas, talking to Senator Ted Cruz yesterday, looked like a deer in the headlights. What did you know? What do you know? What have you done? Or are you kind of like Pete Buttigieg? You're just a placeholder. What are your qualifications, sir? You sound like you have an Hispanic last name. Did you check a box? Or are you talented? Do you do anything? Do you bring something? Pete Buttigieg, he's gay. He checks a box. Is he talented? Does he do anything? Does he bring anything? Kamala Harris, same story. Look, diversity and all that is fabulous if you choose people who are good at what they do. But if you're just going to open up opportunities for people so you can pat yourselves on the back and say, we are such a diverse, wonderful, welcoming crowd. I mean, the whole world's going to hell in a handbasket, but by golly, we are doing all the EEOC things, knocking them out of the park. Cut number 3 says this. Ted Cruz wants specificity. See, he's been to the border. He's seen the cages. These aren't just enclosures, they're cages. And no matter how you want to spin it, a cage is a cage. Cut number 3. Go.
How many children have been in the Biden cages in calendar year 2021?
Senator, I respectfully disagree with your use of the term cages.
Fine, you can disagree with it. How many children have been in the Biden cages? I've been to the Biden cages. I've seen the Biden cages. How many children have you detained at the Donna Tent facility in the cages you built to hold kids? How many children have been in those cages?
Senator, I can provide to you the following.
It's a simple question. How many children have been in those cages?
I respectfully am not familiar with the term cages and to what you are referring. There are
enclosures in which they are locked in which I took photographs and put them out because you blocked the press and didn't want people to see the Biden cages. Here's a photograph of the Biden cages.
That, Senator, that is precisely why I articulated.
Children sleeping on floors, crashed in upon each other. When I took this photograph, the rate of COVID positivity was over 10%.
Answer a question. Yes or no? What do you know? What do you do? What do you do, Secretary Mayorkas? Besides open the door for anybody and his brother who wants to walk in. God knows who they are. Donald Trump excoriated for saying there were rapists among them. Well, alas. Isn't that something? Because there have been. And the final cut. Senator Cruz starts losing his mind. Listen.
Now, you told another senator you don't know how many gotaways there have been?
I will have to circle back, Senator, with that information. Yes.
So that wasn't a fact that you thought was relevant to this hearing? How about this? How many deaths, how many illegal aliens have died crossing illegally into the United States under Joe Biden's administration?
I don't have that data.
So the deaths, you didn't prepare that data either. All right, how about this? How many women have been sexually assaulted being trafficked into this country in 2021?
Senator, I have no ability to determine how many.
Okay, you don't know, so you didn't try to find out? How many children have been sexually assaulted by traffickers or other people when they were coming in illegally?
I do not have that data.
Okay, so you don't know that either. How many illegal immigrants have you released into the United States?
That's in Congress to ask, what are you doing? The next person on the hot seat for us, Tony Fauci, coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Yeah, another circle back. How about that? Let's circle back. I don't understand how a guy we have a cut. I don't know if we'll get to it, but there's a cut that Fox did a story with the guy at the border. They literally put them in lines, these people that turned themselves in, and then they load them on the buses. So if it's that organized, how in the hell do they not know how many kids? How in the hell do they not know how many men, women? If they're loading them onto the bus, how easy is it to take a head count? I mean, they're also full of it that they have no clue. And, you know, Mayorkas looks like he's going to class, hasn't been to class in 2 weeks. He shows up and they said, hey, pop quiz. And he's looking around going, what's on the what? I have no answers. Don't even know what you're talking about. There's the incompetence of this entire administration. I can't think of one. We talked about Kamala Harris. Incompetent. Joe Biden, incompetent. Mayorkas, incompetent. The head of the Pete Buttigieg. I don't know if he's incompetent or more worried about chest feeding. It's frustrating when you get in there and you see these John Kerry. What has John Kerry done? Look, I'm getting fussy. Any news?
There's really no news, although I'm seeing a change in the news articles right now where it's saying on the Independent outlet, legal self-defense does not empower the prosecutor. People don't understand that literally he was there to stop that stuff from happening, stop rioting.
Listen, I'll say this. So many bad decisions by multiple people were made that evening to cause what happened. The governor not bringing anybody in on day 3 of riots. Day 3. This wasn't the first night where they couldn't get their shizzle together and get people there. This was day 3.
Well, think about your cabinet, Jennifer Granholm, laughing at the idea of gas prices as Secretary of Energy. You've got Buttigieg who says, you know what, this is good because this means people are buying stuff. Oh, okay. You've got Mayorkas there who knows nothing about the border. You've got Merrick Garland lying under oath regarding basically claiming parents are terrorists and should be investigated at school board meetings. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Who's the Secretary of State? Who's that wacko? Anthony Blinken.
The JV squad for Obama.
He's an absolute zero. I mean,
name me one. I mean, I'd like one. Just give me one thing they've done. If you or I did our jobs that poorly, we would be fired. If I was that incompetent, I would expect Wendy to say, I changed the locks. Right? Like, I wouldn't expect to have a job. And I was saying about Kyle Rittenhouse. He made there was no reason to go there for him. I'm sorry. Like,
there was what?
There was no reason for him to go there.
I disagree.
There was no reason.
100% disagree.
Well, that's fine. You can.
100%.
The people that were there riding after 3 days, there was no reason for them to be there. You know, like there's no reason the governor shouldn't have brought people in. There were so many, I feel, bad decisions made by a bunch of people in one night. I don't think he's a hero. I think he's getting screwed, right? Like, I think he's getting screwed. I think this is the mob media and the mob mentality, and that's the only reason this prosecutor took him to trial.
That's what they're trying to do again. He went up there to allegedly stop rioting, clean up the buildings, protect people, and it was because of riots. So now you have 500 National Guard in their waiting for a verdict, which they didn't have yet. 3 days into the riot.
Once again, it wasn't his job to protect Kenosha. It was the governor's job.
Doesn't matter. The governor wasn't there doing the job.
Well, is what I said. That was the first bad decision to lead to other bad decisions.
I don't think it was a bad decision for him to want to go to Kenosha. That's where he worked.
Okay.
You know, we'll have this conversation. Important conversation.
Brock is wrong most of the time. I've heard that before. Hey, I'm married. Of course I know what it's like to be wrong most of the time. Please. If this guy thinks Steven thinks I care, I'm used to being wrong. I just think a lot of things could have went differently. That we didn't need this outcome. I hate that this kid's being dragged through the mud by the media. They're doing it again. It's like the Democrats, right? It's the same old song and dance. Next. Okay, here we're going to go back.
Well, that's why I made the analogy that's why I said at the beginning. This is indicative of how the Democrats run the show. This is how they see America.
Cindy, it's my job.
It's now they're starting to put Trump into this, saying a Trump supporter pushed the BLM supporter outside of the Rittenhouse trial.
Well,
that's a brand new.
That is what it is.
Well, that's the Holy Trinity.
Exactly.
You can't actually just tell the truth.
I understand his father lived in Kenosha. I understand he lived in Kenosha. The fact of the matter is, I don't think I wouldn't want my son going out in those streets, period. Your favorite part?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuned into the Wendy Bell radio program. Delighted, as always, to have you along for 3 hours every Monday through Friday. I'm going to go a little off plan here because it's interesting. And the little coverage I've watched of the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, because it really is a situation. It's more than just a court case. It was more than a claim of self-defense. There was an awful lot going on, a lot of pieces that had to fit into place for all of that to unfold. But I'm intrigued when I hear people in the media say that Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have gone there. It wasn't his job. He had no business doing what he did. It's his fault. Why didn't he just stay at home? I find it very intriguing that the rest of us feel as though we deserve to have an opinion on what Kyle Rittenhouse felt as he watched his community burn. He was 17 years old. He had no business being there. Ladies and gentlemen, what age do young people sign up for the military? About that age. At what age do young people decide they want to be firefighters or EMTs? Usually about that age. Painting Kyle Rittenhouse as some white supremacist, punk, vigilante, jagoff tells volumes about the people who say such things. Look, I can stand here and tell you that Tiffany Cross on MSNBC is the biggest race-baiting hater that I've heard in a long time, because I listen to her. I hear what she says. I can't climb inside Kyle Rittenhouse's mind, but I do know he felt passionately about defending the community where his family lived, where he worked. Mind you, this kid is a lifeguard. He had training in medic, providing medical care. This wasn't some rogue glory finder who was looking to splash the spotlight on him. He was going to specifically aid, to provide help, to clean graffiti, he said. Why would we believe otherwise? There's nothing that we've been shown that suggests he's some glory-seeking punk. And I dare say he has way more guts than the vast majority, I'd say everybody else in Kenosha, Wisconsin. How many grown men stayed inside those 3 nights of August of last year while their city was torched? They stayed inside like Joe Biden stayed inside his basement. Nobody else tried to come outside and offer any kind of help. Nobody else that we know of. I can't say nobody. There probably is somebody. But the feeling that a 17-year-old must have to drive and offer some semblance of help or solace or aid in any capacity to a community that touches him deeply, and we're going to sit here and we're going to judge him and say he shouldn't be there? Really? We ought not be commenting then. I know if I was home at my mom and dad's house in Calabasas, California, and something was happening to my sister's home in Manhattan Beach, I sure as hell would get in my car to go do whatever I could to help her or anybody else. And yes, I do have an AR. Nobody should be in a position to have to use one. It should never have happened. This is what we've allowed the left to do, to create this narrative that if you speak up against madness, you're a racist, and equating anybody with common sense with a Trump loyalty. Look, I'm many things. My support of President Trump is near the bottom of the fabric of who I am. So to try to label people when you're always in the wrong, left, when you never get it right, left, when you want excuses, left, when you want to be the victim forever because you don't have the talents, left, the rest of us are tired. But when you come and you try to torch, I hope if that ever happens, if that happens today, I hope there's a hell of a lot more than 500 National Guard troops there. I hope there are thousands of residents from Kenosha ready to defend. And you're right, it shouldn't come to that. But what do you want to bet it will? Because this is the way. That statue offends me. Oh, bullcrap. You're a miscreant clown. And the only reason you want to take it down is because you failed so many times in the public schooling that you got sucked into that you don't understand history. Oh, I feel so good. I'm taking down a statue of General Lee. I'm so important. Wow, you've really moved the needle, haven't you? You've sure added to the discourse of this country. And then you're shocked. Wow, this country's really divided. Yeah, it's very basic. Stay away from our cities. Damn right Kyle Rittenhouse drove to Kenosha that night. Damn right he was ready to defend himself. It was violent. Damn right he loved his community. Look, you can have your perspective all you want about what he did or what he shouldn't have done or et cetera, et cetera. Your opinion doesn't matter. Neither does mine. But I will say, what happens next? Huge. Democrat Party, if you listen, and I know a bunch of you trolls do, play your cards very carefully. Very carefully. Because you put this country through billions of dollars of damage. You've put us through thousands of buildings destroyed. Tens of thousands of small business dreams up in smoke. You've somehow legitimized looting as though that's what you get after you've been oppressed for so many years. You know what? It's never been a greater time to not be white than it is now in the United States. So do yourself a favor and put the victim card back in your pocket and stand up and do one of something that doesn't stink. Or better yet, Maybe travel somewhere that doesn't have the freedom of this great country. Go to China. See what kind of freedom you have to be a miscreant there. Go to Thailand. See what happens if you want to litter. Go to Canada. See what happens if you want to go to church. Go to Cuba. See what happens if you want access to quality medicine. And then cry yourself back to the United States if we want to take you back. And fall on your knees and kiss the ground and say, my goodness gracious, I had no idea. Do I believe Kyle Rittenhouse should be hailed as some kind of a hero? I don't. I don't believe much in heroes. I don't believe Nicholas Sandmann was a hero several years ago on the steps of the Washington Monument. He was a target. He was purposely targeted to push a narrative. And the narrative sucks. And it's not true. So all of you on the left who don't want to get together and do anything that actually benefits this country, all of you, why don't you just go off and create your own rogue nation? Like that zone. What did they call that zone in Portland where they set up the barricades?
The chop zone?
Thank you. Create your own chop zone. Grow your own food. Manage your own resources. Don't look to us to help you out. I'm not paying your taxes. I'm not paying for your abortion, and I'm not paying for your child care. You figure it out. In fact, you can all go to California and set up shop there. Gavin Newsom would be happy to be in charge of your fiefdom. The rest of us want to get back in the business of loving this country, protecting our borders, giving our children education that's worth a crap, leaving to them a country that's better than the one we founded. And at this rate, with you, victims, with your faux outrage at the helm, I dare say we don't stand a chance of being able to do that. And the parents out there like me have had enough. Not just about. We've had enough. Game over. Bruce Freshwater is going to talk me off the ledge right now because he's my friend who owns Sierra Experts. They're a managed service provider, which means they really do a bit of everything when it comes to your small business website. They can design it. They do the software. They do social media marketing. They can help your sales team. They can do backup assistance. So if things go haywire, they're on it before you even know about it. But it's the team. It's the people who work at Sierra Experts that I think makes it really special. They are uber bright and very responsive to your needs. And they offer their services across the United States at a price you can afford. Call Bruce, ask him to take a look at your website. He'll give you some ideas, and then you can go from there. You got nothing to lose. 412-379-8333. 412-379-8333. Check out their testimonials. There are tons of them at SierraExperts.com. All right, I digress. I digressed for a long time. In fact, I dare say I just rambled for 10 minutes. But I'm going to bring it back full circle. I've got some interesting information I want to share with you regarding Tony Fauci, the NIH, and why all these people seem like they're so much in bed with the pharmaceutical industry, because they are. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program.
You're fussy.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
Actually, I have great mental clarity.
Some people were saying it was Chaz. I think it was, to be honest with you, I think it was both.
It was the chop zone.
It was
I
the
didn't
chop, but I think they also called it the autonomous zone. Both names stupid and both areas stupid. Organized.
Summer of Love, though, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, right?
That's why my brother moved.
Yeah,
That's
I
King
know.
County.
We would sit here every single day and be like,
They held those people hostage
Yeah.
In a week.
I like
A young man and a woman, I think, yeah.
Well,
not to mention here in Pittsburgh, we saw these thugs
right
downtown getting up in people's faces as they were eating and drinking. You know what? If I pulled out my gun, you might not do that. That is why we have a right to bear arms. Don't get in my face. Don't mess with my family. And if you want to come in my house, I pity the fool.
Easy.
You do Mr. T.
No, but that's why we have what we have.
All I know is I'm knocking next time.
Why do you think they want to take your guns? So they can do anything. It's the last defense.
I am not putting Wendy down. Quit putting Wendy down every day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
take your
that's
knee
what
off
I
my
do.
neck.
Yeah, that's what I do.
You guys have to switch stickers. You'll be fabulous now.
Yeah, I don't know why you would say that. I'm not really sure what you get out of that. He and I are partners in this industry, but we have different viewpoints. And it's fun because we are allowed to have different viewpoints and respect each other's viewpoints.
Well, our viewpoints are very similar. Even on the Kyle Rittenhouse, they're very similar. I'm not saying anyone doesn't have a right to do whatever they want. We're Americans. I'm just saying there was a lot of mistakes by a lot of people that led to day 3.
I have a visceral reaction to that because not what you said, but the whole event.
Right.
Because I am that kind of person who would get involved. I am, to my own detriment. And one could argue it's not wise to do that. The safe thing is to stay in your house and lock the door, turn off the lights, and put a Black Lives Matter sign in front so they pass you when they're torching the neighborhood. Because that's what happened in my neighborhood.
Yeah, it is.
There's the placeholder. Don't mess with us. It's her house across the street with the we back
Right.
the blue.
Look at her.
Truly.
That is.
Truly.
Hey, someone took your sign down and destroyed it, thankfully, because that's how we met Neil.
Yeah. I think I have a visceral reaction to outright destruction and a lack of civility. I mean, that's not even as vehement as I want to be. There's a better word for it that I'm not finding in my sinus infection stupor. But I have a visceral reaction to wrongdoing. The majority of us are raised, I dare say almost all of us are raised with very firm ideas about right and wrong. Now, where is victimhood taught? Is it taught in the home? Is it a generational thing where grandma's in the rocking chair knitting an Afghan, sharing with her grandchildren how awful America is? Is that where it's taught? Is it taught in school where you're allowed to not show your work because you didn't learn how to do it? And instead of teachers being responsible or parents paying attention, we have to just pass the buck and move you along to fail to the next grade? Is that where it happens? Is it affirmative action? Is that where it happens? Where the system has failed so many times, the snowball effect is so big that there's no chance in hell you can get into college with what you've been taught or the effort you personally have put into it. So we're going to change the rules to make it easier for some people to have access into college. But you know what happens there? The victim card kind of comes to a crashing end because there are legitimate assignments. There are benchmarks that must be met. And to have been failed again and again and again, to be a person who plays that card, who preys on outrage to cover up for lack of knowledge or ability. Ultimately, the chickens come home to roost. And you realize you're somewhere that you can't survive. That's far more crushing than just telling the truth. Let's just be honest with kids. Hey, kids, you know what? This country isn't perfect, but it is pretty awesome. It's pretty outstanding. And if you want to go out and you want to break the law, I'm not going to bail you out. That's on you. I'm going to give you the tools I have, the best I can give you. I'm going to get up every day and I'm going to show you by example what it means to work. And to work not just because it provides you a paycheck, but because it provides meaning. Because it's part of the fabric of this great tapestry of America. Because you're a contributor. Don't look for handouts. Don't be the person asking for the handouts. Be the person who wants to develop the goods. Be the innovator. Be the dreamer. Be the doer. Don't be the excuser, the rioter, the looter. The nonchalance with which now shoplifting and quite literally larceny is just accepted. Don't stop them because that might look racist. No, you're breaking the law. Would your gram roll over in her grave if she saw how you turned out? Like, enough is enough. That is why I have such a reaction to the media, because I was part of that for 25 years. I took the job seriously. I cared passionately about the veracity of the facts that I gathered. I cared passionately about telling people stories with consideration and respect. And I pulled the plug on a couple projects that I had spent weeks and weeks on because the bosses at the place I worked wanted to take the story in a different direction that was wrong, but it would be catchy, flashy, clickbait. And I had to sink those stories because that's not how I rolled. Look, it's very difficult, ladies and gentlemen, to be alone, to stand up for what you believe in. Kyle Rittenhouse tried to do that. We should never be in these situations.
I think Kyle Rittenhouse I think this verdict needs to end. I think the verdict comes down today, and I don't know about you, but I think there is no rioting because they're prepared this time, which they weren't last time. And the governor of Wisconsin failed miserably at his job last time. I think this time they're prepared. I don't think anything happens.
I hope you're right. I don't have the same faith, sadly. Because it's worked so far for so long, right? I think it takes a person with character to see something honestly and realize that what they thought had happened, what they were told had happened, is in fact not what happened. But that takes a time investment. It takes that introspection. It takes admitting, you know what, everything I thought about you, I had read on the news, and I was wrong. And I don't think people like to say that. It takes a special person to say that. And I'm not so sure the people gathered outside the courthouse in Kenosha, Wisconsin today with megaphones are those people. I hope you're right, Brock. I hope you're right. All right. When we come back, I'm going to punt. I'm going to figure out what we're going to do in the break because you never know. You never know. Things could get spicy here.
You could get fussy again during
No,
the break?
it wasn't fussy. It was passionate. There's a difference. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Hi.
You threw me for a curveball.
Huh?
You threw me for a curveball.
Why?
Because you're like,
Oh, I know. And you were talking to him and you weren't looking at me. I'm like, I'm going to choke.
I was setting
I'm
up
going to
my
choke. So can you please talk for a second?
out the spot. normally it would be okay, but since we were coming up on 27, I'm getting this ready because I've got to hit this and watch this.
Which you're probably going to see me fail doing an hour. So.
So is your time that you're going to start the test here?
Probably 12:30. I have to get out of our StreamYard and get into my StreamYard.
Look at your notes that you took over there.
Oh, no, that's just, I decided I have to do some kind of quick monologue just to give him a time adjustment or frame. And the whole Sesame Street with the new Asian.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go off on Sesame Street. And why are we
with the new Asian?
They're bringing in a new Asian American puppet.
Okay. I thought we already had stuff like that.
Well, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, Rob, it was because of the alleged rise in Asian hate crime.
Well, one of the big question is, why are we funding this PBS anymore? Why? This is ridiculous. We don't need to fund them. If you know what, why don't we treat Sesame Street? Here I go. Why don't we treat Sesame Street like CNN? They're peddling propaganda just like CNN is. Let China pay for it. Let George Soros pay for it. Let someone else pay for it. I'm tired of paying for it. When you had Mr. Rogers, cool. I could get behind Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers would be like, peace out. I put my time in. I'm telling you. I wouldn't, like Dave Chappelle says, I wouldn't go to Sesame Street if you showed me the way. They ought to change Sesame Street to Skid Row. Got damn Oscar the Grouch living in a garbage can.
That was an awesome one.
That's an awesome skit.
Yeah, he's outstanding. Jamie, you're right. They did bail out the rioters and shaft the business owners. 100%.
No, I was trying to explain to Jason, too, that, we say this show comes down to hours, right? But if you look at the clock, it literally comes down to half hours on how a show is put together. So, but I'm going to.
Well, and I like to have
you guys all through it.
I like to have like cohesive structure, but you also have to have the flexibility to just punt and be like, all right, we're not going to do that. Let's try this instead.
Like this is just a
suggestion
because I think the only thing we sat on time was Denzel Washington and the 9 a.m.
Did we get all the sound except Live of the Week?
We have Live of the Week. We have Fauci.
Yeah,
if
I'm going to sit on Fauci,
that. I will.
Huh?
If you don't use Fauci, I will.
I'm not going to use him right now.
Okay.
I might use him tomorrow because I promoted it and it's on the board.
I won't use him. Live of the Week. Well, we have an open for Live of the Week now, so.
Are you feeling apprehensive
about what?
Doing the show?
No, I was just saying I might actually.
Let's be honest. It's not a show. We're basically doing a tutorial. It's the best way to learn, and you guys will get to see the back end of it through Jason, and you get to see how a radio show is put together. And you'll get to know what each music means. And here's the problem, right? So from now on, every time one of us screws up, you will not listen to radio the same way after this. Guaranteed.
If you care.
If you care. I don't listen to radio because I hear every mistake. Because I've made all of them.
Well, see, here's the thing. When you're fabulous, these aren't big issues for you.
I'm gonna borrow your sticker for an hour.
No, you're not. I rule with an iron fist, so look out. I should have electrified this chair so when he screwed up, I could just hit a button.
You see this? Can I talk to HR about what he just said?
I'll throw him down the steps.
Such a violent word.
Anybody out there that's a good employment attorney, email me. That's because you're nervous. You don't ruin it for me.
Now I am going to do Fauci.
Here we go, punting again.
Well, my mind is. Well, I know I feel so much better when Dr. Doom weighs in about my private time, specifically when it has to do with what I do with my private time. But here he is. Check it out.
If you get vaccinated and your family's vaccinated, you can feel good about enjoying a typical Thanksgiving, Christmas with your family and close friends. We unfortunately still have a dynamics of infection in the community of about 70,000 new cases per day. So when you go to indoor congregate settings, go the extra mile, be safe, wear a mask. But when you're with your family at home, goodness, enjoy it with your parents, your children, your grandparents. There's no reason not to do that. This will end, Bill. We are not going to be going through this indefinitely. How quickly we get to the end depends on us. How well we vaccinate, how well we get boosted, and how well we do the kinds of things to protect ourselves. So that's my message to the general public.
You know, so a lot of you yesterday had been making mention. First of all, I don't know why anybody thinks that Dr. Doom has any credibility or relevance in telling us how to live our lives. I just don't. Everything he said is wrong. And we could have predicted it was wrong because you're in a clinical trial. There's a reason why drugs are tested for 5 years at a minimum before they hit the market. There's a reason why they fast-tracked this one. And we're going to hit the board now because many of you brought up a very interesting conversation that Tucker Carlson had with the guy who's in charge of Children's Health Defense and the Defender website, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Now, Kennedy Jr. is called an anti-vaxxer. He's a conspiracy theorist. Now, what he is actually very well read. And he brings up some very interesting points in this conversation with Tucker Carlson. And he drew an analogy between him growing up as one of 12 children and kids today. When he was growing up, they didn't know anyone who was autistic. Now, it's like 1 in 22 kids. And the number of boys is staggering. Why is that? Food allergies. He didn't know anybody when he was growing up that was allergic to peanut butter or what have you. And now today, how many kids are allergic to this or that? When he was growing up, there were only a handful of vaccinations that kids got. Now, to go through the entire cycle up until the age of 18, there's something like 72 shots that you need. And Bobby Kennedy's idea here is, rather than just brushing me off as being a wacko, anti-vaxxer, which I'm not, he said, I'm pro-science. Science that proves that this is good for us, I'm all about. But rushing this into the arms of our most precious is not something I'm about at all. We ought to be looking into these things, he says, but this society we're in now, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial society, where no, you're not allowed to talk about motive and your feelings and what happened. It's you shot and killed people, you're guilty, and you're a Trumper. This is where we are. So we brought up some very interesting points about the pharmaceutical industry and Fauci and the government in general. And I wrote a handful of them down. You can see this if you Google Tucker Carlson's name and Bobby Kennedy's name. Do I know this for a fact? I don't. Interesting stuff, though, and worthy of review. Some of it I know because we've talked about it. Let's go through what he's talked about. 45% of the FDA budget comes from drug companies. That's a problem. If almost half of your budget comes from the companies you're supposed to be regulating, don't you see some deals there where you're willing to not regulate as strictly or stringently those companies that are paying your bottom line? I can see that. The CDC spends $4.9 billion of its $12 billion annual budget by buying and distributing vaccines. Why would the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention be in the business of buying and selling vaccines? And how much money have they made since COVID started? The CDC also owns 57 patents for vaccines that it earns royalties on. 57. This is a huge business. This is a great moneymaker. This isn't just your federal government. This is your federal shell game. It's like a money laundering operation. And sadly, you're the one who pays the price. Furthermore, he says the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, owns thousands of patents itself, many for vaccines. Thousands. NIH, vaccines. Is that why they funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan Institute of Virology with the bat woman, the scientist there that Fauci lied about under oath? Huh. Lot of money to be made when you own the patents on vaccines. How about this one? Fauci's NIAID, the National Institutes of Allergies and Infectious Diseases, owns half of the Moderna patent. I told you that. Half. That deal was done a month before COVID, quote unquote, hit here in the United States, December 2019. Huh. That's interesting. 4 Fauci aides have patent rights to Moderna. Wait a minute. So you're the head of the NIAID, and people under your purview own patent rights to a vaccine that the FDA is fast-tracked? That because of their emergency use authorization, they have no culpability for anything that goes wrong? It's all a little too tidy, isn't it? Did you know that Dr. Doom can apply patent rights to his favorite agency loyalists? You know, people who play the game with him, who then earn $150,000 every year for life on products that they're supposed to be regulating. Let's see, $150,000 a year. Tell the truth about this drug. Follow the money. This whole thing has been about follow the money. Isn't that disgraceful? Can you imagine how many people have died? How about this? If you work at HHS, Health and Human Services, you get bonuses, raises, promotions by contributing to the crusade of vaccine uptake. The only solution is to get this vaccine out. How many people, how many doctors, how many quote unquote researchers, how many people out there with the gobs and gobs of big pharma money are on the dole here? Because the evidence is clear if you look at the VAERS website. And the VAERS website is underestimated by up to 99%, which is staggering. Finally, it makes perfect sense then that you don't get promoted for finding problems with vaccines. Facts. I found this very interesting as Tony Fauci there is telling you to, by all means, enjoy the holidays. Have your turkey. Hug your friends. Just be fully vaccinated. That is kind of Bernie.
That's
Bernie. It's Bernie Fauci. I'm sorry.
Right.
They're kind of both equally
They're
gross.
Brooklyn boys.
There you go. Outbreak kills 8 fully vaccinated residents at Connecticut nursing home. Among the 89 people infected at Gear Village Senior Community Center in Canaan, 89 people, 87 were fully vaccinated. But make sure you get that jab. Quote, despite the highly infectious nature of this disease, our employees were able to protect their residents, themselves, and their families through the initial peak of this pandemic. They did this during a time when we least understood COVID-19 and struggled to find the supplies and funding to persevere as the virus spread. This is This is Alejandro Mayorkas, not being able to give you specificity about how many people have crossed the border. We're tremendously proud of our employees for the dedication to the people we care for. Gear Village Senior Community CEO Kevin O'Connell said in a statement, I don't care. Why did 8 people die? Because the vaccine doesn't work. It's not working. Well, the only solution then is got to get the booster. Got to get the booster. NBC Connecticut reported 8 people are dead and just shy of 100 more have become infected with COVID-19 after an outbreak at a Connecticut nursing home. The outbreak at the Gear Village Senior Community, a nursing home and rehab center in Canaan, started about the beginning of October when the nursing home was reporting 3 positive COVID-19 cases. Now, 8 residents have died, 67 residents and 22 staff members caught COVID-19. Nursing home officials say 48 residents and 21 staff members have recovered. How do you explain that? Well, the State Department of Public Health said they're monitoring and providing on-site consultation. Oh, that's super. That's like thoughts and prayers. Everybody you know has died in a terror. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Does nothing. 0. We're going to monitor the situation. He said, well, that's darn good. Darn good of you. We're going to monitor it. Family members of residents in long-term care facilities should also encourage their loved ones being cared for in these facilities to do what? To get a booster shot. It's not working. It's not keeping people from getting it. It's not keeping people from being hospitalized. It's not keeping people from spreading it. It's not keeping people from dying. And so, a la Fauci, follow the money trail. The best case scenario is to make you a drug addict. You have to be addicted to the booster. You must have a new booster every 6 months. Whatever it is money, money, money. God forbid you should have access to ivermectin. You know how it feels when your clothes fit you? You feel like you're fit, that you look good. It's something that's important to people. And if it's been a while since you felt that way, then it is time to invest in you, your health, your fitness, your wellness, your happiness. And I know a great place to do it. More Gangs Fitness. This is a veteran-owned company run by a husband and wife team, 4 locations in Pennsylvania and Somerset and Cambria counties. They're open 24/7 with multiple membership options to suit your needs and your budget. They've got all the free weights, the Nautilus, the plate-loaded weight machines, cardio equipment, cross-training rig, an indoor track. There's turf inside, group fitness classes, certified personal trainers, metabolism testing, body composition analysis, even child care. They're wonderful people. Call and tell, or at least go online and check them out. Tell Kelly that Wendy Bell Radio sent you. More Gains Fitness, MORGAINZ Fitness.com. All right, don't go anywhere. It's one of our favorite moments. It is the lib of the week, and we've got it locked and loaded for you coming up next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
JD.
Sir.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to intro the intro, or do you want to, after JD, do you want me to just play it? Just play it after JD?
We'll give that a shot. See how it looks.
Sounds?
Sounds, looks. I know our focus is radio for sure, but we're paying attention to the stream right now, so I figured I'd say looks.
Okay. I wasn't.
I've got some post-nasal shizzle going on.
I know. It's real attractive.
I know. I'm hot.
It's hot.
I'm hot.
How you doing?
I'm fabulous.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to like?
Yeah. Why don't you lick and spit all over everything? See, I have to be able to stand. My whole thing is going to be standing, but able to see all this when I'm talking to Jason.
He's not going to have your laptop though, right?
He's going to have his, which is smaller.
No, I think you'll be fine. This is like appointment watching. I might go home, pop a bag, and sit down in front of the fireplace with Murph and watch you rock stars kill. Is it on still? I don't have time for that right now. Shucks. You know, I like talking about John D'Onofrio, the attorney I trust, because he's my attorney. And I like reading testimonials about him, especially when they come from opposing counsel. And a gentleman by the name of Michael Marks, who's a probate attorney, wrote this about John. He says, I endorsed John D'Onofrio. He represented a client on the other side of a case and impressed me greatly. His preparation and comprehensive defense against the claim asserted was striking. Hats off to John D'Onofrio. You know, there's a reason I talk about him. He's good at what he does. 40 years doing estate law. He can put together a plan for you so you have peace of mind. 412-928-2068. 412-928-2068 for attorney John D'Onofrio.
I'm a liberal of the week.
I love that.
Yeah, that may become my favorite.
That's outstanding. I thought we were going to go right into the video, so this is outstanding. So we
needed to play the open. Do you want me to play the open again?
No, you want to play it again?
I kind of do.
Okay, let's play it again. We love this. Check it out.
Time now for the Wendy Bell radio program.
So love me, love me, love me. I'm a
liberal of the week.
Oh, you know what? There's so few things in life that are just unadulteratedly, fantastically, deliciously good. And that was one of them. And so we wanted to share it with you. So today's liberal of the week is truly the gift who keeps on giving. You thought that was Maxine Waters, but I'm changing it up. It's this person.
So much for that question. I use the term minor attracted person or MAP in the title and throughout the book for multiple reasons. First of all, because I think it's important to use terminology for groups that members of that group want others to use for them. And MAP advocacy groups like Before You Act have advocated for use of the term MAP. They've advocated for it primarily because it's less stigmatizing than other terms like pedophile. A lot of people, when they hear the term pedophile, they automatically assume that it means a sex offender. And that isn't true, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions about attractions toward minors. I've definitely heard the idea that you brought up, though, that the use of the term minor attracted person suggests that it's okay to be attracted to children. But using a term that communicates who someone is attracted to doesn't indicate anything about the morality of that attraction.
I'm going to disagree with that. I'm going to say that if you're attracted to a minor and you want to be called a minor attracted person, a MAP, and not a pedophile, and not a sex offender and not a deviant and not a lawbreaker, we've got a problem because I have a greater vocabulary than that individual does. That's scary.
What's really scary is he's a TA at Old Dominion University. But good news for that is the students came out and said, hey, you got to get rid of this guy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Scary as heck.
And pedophilia is a crime.
So I wanted to read this part of it because I don't have much time now, but I like this. And it's a letter written by Nicholas Sandman to Kyle Rittenhouse. And he writes, the corrupt liberal media came for me just like they came for Kyle Rittenhouse. And if he decides to sue, I say go for it and hold the media accountable. The parallels between me and Kyle Rittenhouse are impossible not to draw. Kyle was 17 years old when he became a household name after that terrible tragedy in Kenosha. I was 16 when I was catapulted into the national conversation by video of an encounter with the Native American activists on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Kyle was almost immediately labeled a white supremacist and a domestic terrorist. To many, my red MAGA hat clearly meant that I was racist too. In only hours, a CNN host tweeted an image of me writing, honest opinion, have you ever seen a more punchable face than this kid's? Kyle wasn't given his day in court by his critics, and neither was I. The attacks on Kyle came from the national news media, just as they came from me. They came quickly, without hesitation, because Kyle was an easy target, and they could paint in the way they wanted to. This is the problem with liberal media outlets in the United States. They want to get the story first, get the most views, make the most money, and advance the agenda from liberal patrons. These outlets cover themselves when they're wrong with small footnotes at the ends of long articles clarifying that new information has come out and that they've updated their coverage. News shouldn't be a scoreboard that constantly changes. News is about coverage that includes a statement of facts that does not need to be corrected, but the liberal media doesn't do this. The liberal media rushes to be the first to report. So every single label of Kyle as a terrorist, white supremacist, and school shooter in the streets of Kenosha will only ever be withdrawn after the damage has been done. In our hyperpolarized society, the first impression of Kyle has been set in stone, probably for the rest of his life. Taking a life for any reason sticks with someone forever, and yet the liberal elites would rather turn it into a joke for likes. Not only does Kyle have to deal with that, but it is compounded with the overwhelming stress and trauma of the character assassination taking place against him. From my own experience, death threats, feeling of no future ahead, and that millions of people hate you is enough to alter you in many concrete ways and permanently. Make no mistake, even the strongest of people cannot resist the mental impact when the media war targets you. With Kyle's name dragged through the mud and the clear effect it's having on him, many have started to ask the question whether Kyle should sue for defamation. One of the saddening parts of this media onslaught is it has taken young people like Kyle and myself to expose how corrupt the media really is. From my own experience, I know that this cannot be easy for Kyle. While I've waited to comment on the facts of Kyle's case until the trial ends, I cannot hold back on the media's public execution of him before the trial has concluded. At this time, I'd like to use my platform to let Kyle know I'm here for you. And if you would ever like to reach out to me, I'm about the only person our age to have an idea of how the media is treating you. The way the media has treated you is terrible, and you don't have to face it alone. You know, we hear this administration talk about humane. We're doing things that are humane. No, you're not. You're evil, and you're mean, and you're desperate. And the rest of us see right through you. We'll see you back here tomorrow, everybody. Peace.